it's because I really have just been out of the loop. I've been underneath a rock in South Florida, just kind of tunnel vision on the issues down there. I honestly am so out of the loop with Bernie Sanders, and I knew if anybody can get me up to speed and get the audience up to speed, it would be you. So I'm going to turn the mic over to you. What's going on with Bernie? What's up with this poll out of Iowa where they're showing he's down 41 points all of a sudden, and anything else that you feel is pertinent? Go for it.
Well, there's a lot of great things going on. Number one, there's this poll that came out, and it might as well be Hillary Clinton up by 5 billion points. Okay, really, something like 30, 40 points. It was a poll where the pollster called 400 landlines in Iowa. And they also automatically put Biden's theoretical votes onto Clinton's. Okay, so what's in Iowa, and this is an immense public relations spin. So essentially what took place is Bernie Sanders goes from less than 1% support in the Democratic primary in June of 2014. Less than 0.08%. Earlier on in 2015, he was at 3 to 6% support. Hillary Clinton was at a commanding 60+% support. I mean, at that point, you'd have to be crazy to think that anything could happen, right?
Exactly.
Well, yeah. Well, what takes place is Bernie Sanders surges to now over 30% in one poll, 29% in other polls. Hillary Clinton drops from 64% to now something like, well, before Biden's votes, to something like a little over 40%. They add Biden's votes now in this recent poll, which is very funny, because I talked about this in my last Huffington Post article. Biden voters value honesty. That's what they polled the Biden voters. And when it comes to polls relating to a person's character, those don't change like who you're going to vote for, that type of poll. So in terms of a person's character, Biden is, you know, honest. He's less of a hawk in terms of foreign policy. Why on earth? I mean, if you talk about 57% of Americans, according to CNN, do not trust Hillary Clinton. Even within the Democratic Party, there's a sizable percentage that don't trust Hillary Clinton. So why on earth is Biden voters automatically are they going to automatically vote for Clinton? So that's pretty much a public relations spin. It was also landlines. You know, people under 50 oftentimes just use a cell phone. And so, I mean, another part of the spin is, and this is how you know Bernie Sanders is doing very well, and he was up above Clinton in Iowa and New Hampshire, which is funny because he should never have been up, right? I mean, it was Clinton's to win. He was up, and now Clinton came back, and so great. But what they're not telling you is that the fact that Bernie Sanders came up from less than 1% to over to beating Clinton in Iowa and New Hampshire in the polls without media coverage, without all the mainstream kind of public relations spin that Clinton has, that says something about the grassroots. And really, when they talk about a ground game, it's like you hear this phrase ground game. It's like they're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers or something. But really, what a ground game is a grassroots effort. In terms of a grassroots, and that's how President Obama won in 2008 and in 2012. And in terms of a grassroots effort, he's just doing great, and he's doing phenomenally.
Here's something that stood out to me about the polls, and I actually picked this up from a YouTuber called The Same Progressive. I think she's great. Yeah. Okay. So, you know, yeah. So I was listening to her a review of it, and she was talking about pretty much what you mentioned in terms of the type of people they called, and they intentionally targeted the people who voted in the last primaries. And because a lot of Bernie supporters, a lot of the people who are active and going to vote in this primary season did not necessarily vote in the last primaries. So you're already taking a sampling frame that is exclusive, not exclusive, but not including potential voters, very enthusiastic voters. And so you give this data that is representative of sounds as though it's reflecting the consensus of Democratic voters for the primary season, but it's leaving out an entire swath of voters who did not participate in the last primary for whatever reason. Maybe they were too young, maybe they felt disenfranchised, whatever the reason may be, but those people are mobilized to vote now. What do you think about that strategy in terms of the sampling frame? But then also, I want some of your commentary on how the media, particularly progressive media, Rachel Maddow, Chris Matthews, all of them have been regurgitating that same number of 41%. And it's giving life to data, to a poll that really wasn't properly done.
Well, Benjamin, in terms of the media in general, and I'm talking about left and right. So regardless of the company or the corporation, they want to paint drama. Okay, so all this drama is really, it's public relations, it's Hollywood, it's drama. When Bernie Sanders wins Iowa, you will see a tremendous, it'll be a crescendo of dramatic, commentary on all the stations. And this is kind of self-serving. So in terms of people getting, what's really going on is you have a person who should never be here challenging a person who basically is now becoming not the underdog, becoming a serious threat. And here's one big example. In 2008, and I'll tell you where I'm going with this.
Go for it.
In 2000, Senator Obama was at first not seen as a challenge to Hillary Clinton. Okay, there was one point where President Obama was polling alongside Giuliani in terms of popularity. Then he became very, very popular, obviously. Then Hillary Clinton got scared and frightened, and she created a 3 a.m. ad, and this was right before the Southern States in 2008.
Right, I remember that.
Harvard University's Orlando Patterson, who is a very, very prominent sociologist, said that when he looked at that ad, it had a racist quote. And this is his, not my opinion, because I think it's a racist ad. But when you look at the ad, you can look at it on YouTube. Harvard's Orlando Patterson says that it contains a, quote, racist sub-message. Now, when you look at what's happening now, this is mirroring 2008, and I'll tell you why. Hillary Clinton just said that Bernie Sanders, somebody in his campaign, or one of his top aides, made it. Okay, what was the comment? What was the comment? The comment was that it was joking that Hillary Clinton would make a good vice president for Bernie when he wins.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if there's anything wrong with being a vice president. That's a pretty high, esteemed level in terms of politics. That wasn't a sexist comment at all. But you see, the Clinton campaign, they'll dig in that well of racism, and then they'll spin a narrative of sexism when they need it, when they're scared, when they're feeling the heat or feeling the burn in this case. So
that was, I have to give you an applause on that one. That was okay. So, all right, let's do this. A couple of other things I want to talk to you about. So we talked about that. I was talking with a friend tonight, and I'll leave her name out of it because she doesn't want to have her name. She's a Republican, and she's voted for Republicans for probably all of her, voting age life. And they just came down in the state of Florida with an endorsement, Nurses for Bernie, a very large, it's about 4 million nurses across the country that's a part of this particular union. And what I found fascinating about the conversation I had with her was that because of her love for Dr. Ben Carson, it was difficult for her to initially accept this endorsement until she found out the fact that Ben Carson summarily dismissed the entire nurses union. the entire concept of unions in general. Mike Huckabee was another one who took this survey or refused to take the survey and pretty much just kind of crapped on the idea of unions, and particularly the nurses union. What stood out to this about her and what broke her heart the most was that Ben Carson has made his living, his entire career has been in the medical profession, and there is no medical profession without nurses. This endorsement from nurses for Bernie, it's not only a large endorsement, but to me, it speaks volumes to the disconnect between on two levels, really. Ben Carson being from the medical field and not able to get an endorsement from nurses. That's one. But then two, in general, just the reality that people have been voting against their best interests for so long. And when it finally comes home, they end up going after Bernie Sanders. What do you think about that? And they end up loving Bernie Sanders. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I think that I think Trump and Ben Carson are doing something unique in the GOP. I think Carson has something he has political power within the GOP now, and because of that, of course, he's going to want to destroy unions. That's basically the standard Republican talking point. Yeah, standard procedure. The interesting thing about the person voting for Hillary Clinton, a satirical piece in the HuffPost comedy section called basically about Facebook liberals. Mm-hmm. I call certain people Facebook liberals, and these Facebook liberals will say that these Republicans are racist, but they'll vote for a person who basically created a racist 3 a.m. ad against Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. They'll say that Dick Cheney is evil, but they'll vote for a person who voted for the Iraq War, like Clinton. Mm-hmm. And then in terms of unions, Clinton accepted, well, let's just talk about who she might face if she were to win. Trump gave Clinton's foundation $100,000. Yeah. He helped her also in terms of her Senate runs. So she accepted money from that. In terms of Wall Street, 4 of her top 5 donors are from Wall Street, investment banks. In terms of the Republican talking point, she fits that narrative very well. Mm-hmm. Unions, she'll get endorsements from unions because of her political power, but in terms of what she'll do, a better choice. So that's one of the reasons why the nurses union endorsed Bernie Sanders.
Let me jump in there real quick. First of all, HA, you should run for office because you're a master taking the question that I asked you about Ben Carson and Donald Trump.
Well, you know what's funny? I couldn't hear you for about 10 seconds.
Oh, okay.
So, okay. But I am a master politician. I just couldn't hear you for 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, I asked about Ben Carson, and this is not supporting him. And you go over to, you're good at that. One thing you're going to do is you're going to attack Hillary or Bernie. I could ask you about hot wings and biscuits, and you're going to find a way to turn that into Hillary Clinton.
I love hot wings, but Clinton is bad. No, I'm joking.
No, seriously. But here's the thing I was going to get to, but you beat me to it, was that, first of all, the nurses union did not support Ben Carson, which is not surprising. I think what's revealing about it is that this is his profession, or was his profession, and that's one. Then two, the fact that once an issue hits close to home for somebody, they're finally able to see the light and realize that they've been voting against their own best interest. Then I was going to go over to Hillary Clinton. That's when I was going to go to Hillary Clinton, because Hillary Clinton did not participate and did not get that endorsement either. So you've already beat me to the punch. It's not just Republicans, it's not just conservatives, but it's also Hillary Clinton, who is not getting the support of some key unions, of some key supporters, and I think that's very telling in terms of how people are feeling in their gut about Hillary Clinton. Now, with that, I do want to say this. I've invited I have invited so many times, so many different Hillary Clinton supporters on the air because I want, no matter who I support, I want to give the opportunity for a counter voice. And I invited someone to be a part of the debate tonight, and they unfortunately, and they were a Hillary Clinton supporter. We could have had a rigorous debate, but unfortunately they have turned it down yet again. So I'm putting this out on the airways. If anyone knows a Hillary supporter that is able to stand in, in this debate quarter here and go toe to toe with Hal or HA rather,
I love it.
I would love to have them on air because I want to, if nothing else, when we debate, by the time we get done, we should have at least the truth is the last thing standing. We may destroy each other, but the truth shall be standing. So I'm asking you on YouTube and on Spreaker, everyone is listening. I need some Hillary Clinton supporters to come.
And I'm asking also.
Yeah.
Please, somebody come to the Benjamin Dixon show, debate me. I'm begging you to do so. So if you're watching, I'm begging you, please come debate me.
I love it. I will put that, take that one segment and I will put that one segment out. We're looking for Hillary Clinton, and it won't be 2-on-1. I will just moderate. I will be as objective as I can, and whoever comes out as a victor comes out as a victor. Last but not least, Hal, what else is going on with Bernie in general? Just tell me, where is he? Where was he last week? What have I missed? I just feel so disconnected, and I just need you to plug me in. Give me about 60 seconds on where Bernie is in his campaign, and then we'll let you go.
Well, he was just recently at George Mason University, where a Muslim female law student basically talked about Islamophobia and talked about how it is a scourge in our nation and around the world. And Bernie Sanders gave her a hug. Yeah. And he talked about how, yes, Islamophobia and racism and any type of prejudice is just, it's horrible, and it's something that needs to be eradicated. I think that in terms of our political climate, for a presidential candidate to hug and show solidarity with a Muslim student, a law student, I think it's phenomenal, and I think it's wonderful. And I think that everybody on the GOP should do the same thing.
Yeah, I
think that everybody should, because there's been too much of that. There's been too much Islamophobia. I'm against that, and I think it's wonderful. And I think that it's great that Bernie did that.
You know what? Then I don't feel as bad, because I did get that that information, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said that essentially, if you think that all Muslims are a problem, then you are the problem in America. That's a very bad paraphrase, but that's what came across one of my Twitter feeds. And so I'm not completely disconnected. Hal, thanks so much, man. I appreciate the update. I'm trying to get back into the regular swing of things. You've been very helpful. Tell everyone how they can get in touch with you and where they can find you.
Well, I actually have a YouTube channel now, and just type in H.A. Goodman, and you could see have little 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute segments, really quick on why I write about Bernie Sanders, and just hagoodman.com is my website.
Awesome, man. I'm going to come over to your channel and do something with you on your channel. Ladies and gentlemen, H.A. Goodman, we definitely want to go over and
thank you.
Thanks so much for being with us again today, man.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. I really appreciate it. Thank you.